The AOA theme park land DreamWorks IP has come to life at a grand scale in the DreamWorks Animation Zone at Motiongate, Dubai, UAE. Expertly designed, well-crafted, cleverly integrated, and high quality of delivery make the DreamWorks box a standout at Motiongate. The climate-controlled environment is a welcome addition to the park. The mix of highly themed environments and intellectual properties make the DreamWorks land feel like a theme park within a theme park. Let's welcome Jonathan Linn, Head of Global Location-Based Entertainment, DreamWorks Animation, and he will introduce the rest of his team. Jonathan Linn.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you and welcome. We're so excited to be here and obviously tremendously honored. We thank the Theme Park Entertainment Association and everybody involved for this tremendous honor, as well as the government of Dubai, His Royal Highness, and of course the entire people of Dubai. So with that, the DreamWorks box is about 43,000 square meters, just over that, in fact. And I want to introduce our illustrious panel. We have from Dubai, we have Ahmad Hussain, who is here. He's the deputy CEO of DXB Entertainments. We have Doug Cooper, who works with me at DreamWorks on our media side. We have Alex Calle with EDC, and we have the incredible Seth Cover as well with Myco too. So with that, yes, please. So with that, we're going to jump in here fairly quickly with a quick little rollout here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good morning. It's my honor to be here in front of an industry expert and present a project has been built 1,000 miles away from here. And this is what clearly shows how incredible is this industry in sharing the information and knowledge, and working together as a family and achieving one common goal, which is creating a smile on children's faces. And this is what we care about at DXP Entertainment. We are a young organization, established 2014. Recently, 2016, we have been listed in Dubai Financial Market as a listed company. We own one major destination, which is Dubai Park and Resort, which is a region's largest integrated theme park. Of course, we are located in Dubai, in the border of Dubai, between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, 63 kilometers away from Dubai International Airport, and 68 kilometers away from Abu Dhabi International Airport, and close to the Expo 2020. We are the largest leisure entertainment company in the region, and with, as I said, Dubai Parks, and with owning Dubai Parks and Resort destination, as there is 5 theme parks. Four are fully open: Legoland Dubai, Legoland Water, Motiongate, Bollywood, and Six Flags, which is coming in late 2000, or will be open to late 2019. We also have Lapita Hotel with 500 keys, is fully open, and Legoland Hotel is under construction, will be open in 2019. We also have Riverland, which is 50 themed retail and dining, which linked all those theme parks and the hotels together. We also manage our main shareholder assets, Family Entertainment Asset, and Roxy Cinema. Some figures and numbers. Phase 1 has been built with $2.9 billion investment, which is totally completed and open. And phase 2 is $800,000, which is Six Flags and Legoland Hotel. Some date worth of highlighting. In 2012, we have built or created the concept of Dubai Parks as a destination, and we started constructing in 2014, and late 2016 we have opened the destination. And 2 months later, as the DreamWorks box has been opened. This is kind of the layout of Dubai Parks as a destination. As you can see in the top left corner is Motiongate. I'll explain a bit Motiongate later on in the slides. And then on the right side is the Legoland Hotel, which is the ultimate theme park for families and children aged 2 to 12. Next to it is a Legoland Water Park. Is a regional, again, only water park designated for families and children aged between 2 and 12. Bollywood Park is right in the center, and this is the world's first Bollywood park or movie-themed park focused on action, dance, and romance. At the bottom, you see Riverland, which is again connecting all the destination, and the Lapita on the right left side corner. And in the right bottom corner, where is Dubai Parks, this is where the Six Flags is coming. And Legoland Hotel will be right next to the Legoland Parks. We are in Dubai Parks, when we build those destinations, we try to bring the best of East and West to create a unique product. Because as you know, in Dubai, we have more than 200 nationalities living there, and more than 8 billion people are surrounding Dubai with an 8-hour flight distance. I'll show you a small video about a 1-minute video about the destination, so you can feel about it. We have built this park in 2 years, but we still cannot compete with our Chinese friends in speed construction. A bit about Motiongate, as the team will be talking about the DreamWorks. Motiongate is the largest Hollywood-inspired theme park in the Middle East. It has 5 zones. Right in the center of the entrance is the Studio Central, and then we have Sony Pictures Zone and Lion Gate, Smurfs Village, and DreamWorks. There is 27 attractions, 5 themed dining, and 17 retail outlets. Now I think I will leave the discussion about the DreamWorks with the team, because I've recently joined the company, so I'm not aware about the project's details. But however, I will be around any questions with regard to Dubai Parks as a destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, as the old adage goes, it takes a village. Well, in this case, it certainly takes an industry. Clearly, we could not do this alone, and we've had some really incredible minds and legends in the industry help us on this project. On the DreamWorks side, of course, on the Universal side, I want to really publicly thank Tom Williams and Michael Silver for their incredible support during the opening of this project. And of course, on the DreamWorks side, Mr. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the legendary Phil Hedema, who was our Chief Creative Officer, and of course, Karen Foster and her team. And they've done a tremendous job. So with that, I also want to thank Jeremy Relton and Cliff Warner for their help as well, and this incredible group. So jumping right in, clearly I like to eat dessert first, and as my old friend who's a lounge singer in Nevada and Reno, she always has a secret of life, and she says, now why is it that we gain weight after we get married? And she says, well, you know, when you're single, you come home and you look what's in the fridge and you go to bed. And when you're married, you come home and look what's in the fridge or in the bed and you go to the fridge. So with that, jumping right in, here we go. Here's dessert.
Well done, well done.
You up for some adventure?
Always. What do you have in mind?
How about an exciting trip to the Forbidden Isle?
This might be a bit too much for dragon gliders.
Do not worry, everything will be okay!
You didn't slay the dragon?
It's on my to-do list.
What kind of knight are you?
One of a kind.
I've seen far worse places than this. This doesn't scare me.
Oh, that's weird. It's like the river just ends up ahead.
According to the map, it's a waterfall!
Pick up! We're leaving now!
All right, people, you heard the lady. Time to go.
Trust me, I've got him. Maybe not.
Ready, aim, plasma blast! Attaboy, we got it!
Thank you all for coming. And be sure to pick up some waffles on your way out. I just knew this would be a happy ending.
Well done, everyone. That was fantastic. Look at you, still alive.
So my friends have kindly agreed to join me on the panel for a quick discussion, and we're just going to really ad hoc it, but pass questions back and forth, so bear with us, please. So this project really started as kind of a new idea, sort of a concept of how do we put something all indoors within a box? And so how did you really sort of overcome some of those challenges? Tell us a little bit about what you worked on and how that came
Sure,
to
I think, you know, we're in Dubai, so during the summer it's incredibly warm and humid and lots and lots of sunlight. In the shoulder seasons, it's quite beautiful and nice to be outside. But I think when you look at the DreamWorks properties and looking at being able to immerse our guests in the world of these amazing IPs, we wanted to move into an indoor space in which we can control the light, we can control the temperature, and we can control the view sheds. And I think, you know, one of the biggest challenges of looking at a 43,000 square meter box is columns. Columns, columns, columns. How do you hide columns? How do you support the roof? And I think that was one of our first real explorations as we were looking at designing it is how do you set up the area development so that basically we can bury columns in structure. And I think we only have like maybe 3 or 4 in guest view if you really look for it.
Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of changes on these projects as you go throughout. How did we kind of end up where we're at with this design? Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, I think it was really about, you know, project budgets are always finite. And, you know, the bigger spaces that you have, the more you have to decorate. And I think we really looked at how do we start to human scale and condense the facility to really allow for a more intimate, more human scale, and more immersive environment. And so what we spent a lot of time working with the DreamWorks team and with the client of basically helping squish that box to just the right size so that it doesn't feel too tight, but also you feel like you're not in a vast open experience.
Right.
Where how do I get into the swamp? And
Right.
how do I get into Burke and feel like I'm there?
And of course, make it DreamWorks Blue, right? So,
And it has
big
to be
blue
DreamWorks
box.
Blue.
Yes, indeed. So we come into a main entry, which is the Fountain of Dreams, which of course is this tremendous hub once you come inside of the box. Tell us a little bit about Fountain of Dreams and how that came to be and why we chose a main hub.
Yeah, I think that really going from the outdoor space into an indoor space, one, we wanted a little bit of a respite and the ability to cleanse from all the other intellectual properties you have. And then you come to discover how do you put all these very distinct IPs in a space that doesn't ruin the surprise when you go into the land. And I think that's where you started to look at how do we create this sculpture, this beautiful fountain, but not go too literal with the characters. Take it into the bronzes and the golds so that you are representative of the brand, but you're not repeating what you're going to see as you walk down the path.
Right. Well, what I really appreciate, too, is that we were able to do most of the figures at 100% scale, which is, we originally planned them at 30% of scale, but we're able to basically create them at full scale. And of course, the audience seemed to love it. It's very Instagrammable, as you would say, moment, but turned out tremendously well. Obviously, we ended up in a very different place for this. We were talking a little bit about projection mapping. Tell us a little bit about some of that change.
Yeah, I think that there's opportunity as the park expands and grows to be able to take that space and become a real show space. You know, I think with, everybody in this room is, very keen on where do you put your opening day dollars in the most important places. So we still needs to, from a guest experience point of view, has to come in, give you a sense of awe, a sense of place. I've arrived, and now where do I go? And so at the end of the day, I don't think we really needed the show space to come alive in that sense. I think really we were looking for come in, get oriented, and then move into the lands.
Great. So speaking of lands, we obviously go off from this main hub to Shrek. And there was a lot of sort of development about Shrek and how we really bring Far, Far Away and the world of Shrek the Swamp to life. Tell us a little bit about some of this previs and some of the challenges you faced.
I think one of the wonderful things of working with an animation studio that does nothing but 3D films is you have all these amazing models to work from. And is it on model? Well, it's actually the model. Yes, we have to scale and we have to make it human size. But I think we were really able to use some of those early 3D visualization tools to really see how it was going to function. At the time, we were using a first-generation Oculus to walk through the spaces. We were using Unity, very early version of Unity. And I know that the bigger players have their cool R&D toys, but I think for a park on this scale, to be able to use those visualization tools really helped us kind of see where issues could arise before they were issues.
It's great. I mean, clearly people seem to love it. And as we went through, you really feel immersed in the world of Shrek, which is pretty fantastic, and we so appreciate it. And I know, of course, we really focused on a tentpole ride here, which was Shrek's Merry Fairytale Journey. Now, obviously, you get a little bit of PTSD when you're seeing these things because you remember what it's like to build them. But tell us a little bit about how we came to be here with Shrek's Merry Fairytale Journey.
So with Shrek, Shrek was a journey. It really was. It was a lot of fun. We're as a designer or a design firm, there's a lot of habits that you create as almost like an actor, right? And you always want to work from the inside out, right? Like Stanislavski kind of style. Unfortunately, we didn't get that at this. So when we got the space, we actually had a defined space already for us. We had a box, and it was up to us to tell a story within that box. So leaning more on our theater days, right? You've got a theater, and how do you tell a story within that theater, that space, and then how does it respond to that space? And then on top of that, you've got parameters, you've got the HVAC going in, and I mean, literally going in, and you're like, I need to tell a story, and so you're dealing with those parameters on a daily basis, and then you've got budget coming in, right? So we're trying to envelop you into the world of Shrek, but how do you tell that with a limited budget and with space constantly closing in on you? And so the thought was thrown out, well, you know, if we did it in a puppet world, if you get thrown into this puppet world, if guests are thrown in and then all around you, you have these massive puppets around you, you can suddenly do so much more with so much less. And that was the key to this, is, you know, hanging your hat on something and highlighting it. You know, in the theater, you have $2, literally $2 to build an entire environment, right? And you've got, it was supposed to be done yesterday. And you have to work with those parameters. So we borrowed from that, and we built on those parameters, which is, let's make it a puppet, and then we can get away with staccato movement, right? Because it's about a puppet. So that one little key was all of a sudden opened the world for us, which was so much fun.
Well, what I liked was the layering of, again, this sort of vintage idea of sort of a Sid and Marty Krofft puppet kind of piece, combined with new technologies and sort of media. And we'll play a quick little media clip here, and Doug can tell us afterwards about some of the media.
Hey, Farquaad, I have a bone to pick with you.
Ah, ogre. Just the one I'm looking for.
Are you Princess Fiona?
I am, awaiting a knight so bold as to rescue me.
Ah, that's nice. Now let's go! Better out than in, I always say.
I'm so happy to be here. No, really. Goodbye.
So at DreamWorks and our themed entertainment group, we're filmmakers at heart. We all come from the feature film background at the studio. So one of the great honors for us in being able to collaborate on a project like this is these characters, they're not just intellectual property to us. They're real characters. They have souls, and we know who they are, and we interact with them on a daily basis. So the fun for us is being able to figure out how we bring them to life in these different ways and how we tell their story in different ways. So Jonathan alluded at the combination of sort of the physical puppetry and the media in this, and you notice that's something that we mixed really interestingly here. Our production designer, Mike Hernandez, had such a great time coming up with a way the puppet versions of our characters would look. And you'll see we've got the real characters and we've got the puppet characters represented in media, because the conceit is the real characters have gathered to see a puppet story of how Shrek and Fiona fell in love and came together. And they're telling their children this story, and then we go into that puppet world. So we actually have got both represented throughout. That collaboration was incredibly rewarding. It was incredibly fun. As filmmakers and storytellers, that kind of a partnership is the stuff that makes it exciting and makes it entertaining for us.
Exactly. Moving right along, we're going to jump right into Dragons. We'll be quick because we know we're up against the time frame here. So, of course, you enter the world's Burke, which is very uniquely designed. And Seth and Alex, you face some challenges here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how we came to be and how this land came to be?
10 seconds, Seth.
Sure. I think that the real takeaway from Burke was, as you go through the other lands in DreamWorks, you're on a same plane. We wanted to enter Burke in kind of a mezzanine level and look down into it. So all of a sudden you have a very different perspective and have a very different feel of place.
Yeah, it has a really nice forced perspective, and I think it's a surprise to come in and see that you're at one level and then you're going down, actually. So I thought it was very well done. And of course, we had some media challenges here as well with this that I think Doug can talk about as we get to this clip. Let's do a quick.
Hello, dragon gliders.
Say goodbye to Burke.
Have a safe flight.
Toothless, what is it, bud?
That dragon's picked up our scent, and he's right behind us.
Ready, aim, plasma flash! We got it!
So obviously there's a lot of media integrated into the ride on this one, and there's a lot of big technical challenges for us to figure out as well. We went through the storytelling process, but one of the things that was incredibly helpful to us was you talked about having these models built in Unity and being able to do pre-visualization of the rides. We had the same experience here where we were testing all of our media regularly against the virtual simulation of the ride on a continuous basis. It's the only way that we could ensure that everything fit together and was telling the story that we needed. That we had all that plus the challenges of high frame rates, high resolution, all the stuff that makes the media immersive and engaging for the audience to go with it. But that kind of collaboration between the physical and the virtual, that's what was so fun.
Totally agree. Jumping right into Madagascar, and of course, clearly we couldn't do what we do without the folks on the ground as well. And we were led by the incredible Matthew Pretty and his team, so Charlie Smith, and we had Bill Jorgensen was there to champion this. We had some really great companies as well help out with this whole project, and just a tremendous job, and we're so grateful for their hard work. And of course, it does really take an industry to get us to this place. So do you guys want to tell us a little bit about Madagascar and how some of the quick challenges we faced here?
Sure, I think one of the unique things about Madagascar is unlike when you go to the swamp for Shrek or Burke or even the Valley of Peace, we're in no man's land. We're in the Afro circus. We're not in a place. It allowed us to play off of the very hypercolor, vibrant fireworks scene, if you remember from the film. And that was just really kind of our inspiration of you know, we didn't want to be in the jungle. We didn't want to be in New York City. We needed to find a place, and the best place was not a place at all.
Yeah. So moving right along very quickly here as we get into, just give you a little sample and flavor of this, and moving right into Kung Fu Panda. And of course, we did have, you know, on the ground as well, Artie Contreras was working with the group in Dubai, as well as we really had tremendous partners across the local contractors as well, Gensler, everybody here involved. Really came together to create the Valley of Peace. Do you want to tell us about how we ended up with sort of this design?
Yeah, I think that, you know, for us, this was a place that we didn't have to worry about too much swamp. We didn't have to worry about too much rocks. We were really, or this Afro psychedelic circus was really ground ourselves in. And we know that Mr. Ping was such a key, his shop was there. We wanted to celebrate Panda and the Furious Five. And this was a place where we really played a lot with those forced perspectives, and in some cases maybe too good with guests running up scenery. But at the same point, I think when you look at the film, you really feel like you're there.
For sure. And of course, Unstoppable Awesomeness is our tent pole here in this ride. See a little clip, and Doug can tell us about it.
According to the map, it's a waterfall!
I hope you can swim! I still got that box!
None of I did it first! That is for you, and this is for the Emperor!
So this was a lot of fun and a huge challenge for us. Not only were we dealing with a very large screen, we're delivering at 4K at a high frame rates, but this whole thing was presented in stereo with the simulation vehicle, and we wanted to make sure that the audience felt like they were in the movie, not watching the movie. And we actually set up a VR simulation of this, so we kind of had a simulation of the simulation, but anyway. What that allowed us to do was very carefully set the stereo depth. So when you sit in that ride vehicle and you're looking at the screen, the water on the media actually comes under the ride vehicle and really fills in the space as if you're present there. That was one of the most exciting things, to see that pay off and work for us. And so we were testing that every day in our lab at the studio with a motion chair and a VR headset, and being able to actually see how this all worked made the whole thing possible for us to get into that level of detail and make the experience that visceral.
So it really does take an industry. Again, we are so honored and grateful, and of course, we couldn't do it without all of you, really, and everyone involved in this incredible industry, and it's truly an honor for us to be a part of it. So quickly, I guess questions and answers.
Yes, we have time for a couple of questions.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline with Walt Disney Imagineering. Operationally, having a ride box that you have to get people into and then also queue them for the individual experiences, how much of that space did it take up, and how did you deal with all the guests in the space waiting?
And with that answer comes the break. So please, Jonathan, answer that question at the break, but please thank you to you and your team. Great job today. Well done. Thank you very much.
I'll see you right after.